So we are going to get straight into this video. So I'm deciding to do something a little different. This is something that I have not done or yet to do. And that is to just like record myself with all the setup, all the get up, all of that, right? Because lately I find it funny how I'm going to turn a little bit this way. God has been positioning me to record myself like when I get a revelation, or I just start to speak out loud while recording myself. And I started this back while I was in therapy, right? Oh, excuse me. I started this back when I was in therapy. I started to record myself, talking myself through whatever issue I was dealing with at the time. And then God would speak through me for myself, and I would play the video back, and I would get so much revelation for myself and my situation, and just talking myself through it. Even though I had a therapist, I would just use that time to kind of talk myself through whatever I was dealing with at the time. So it's kind of crazy how here I am. And it was so funny because a couple weeks ago, God had kind of put on my spirit to start vamping up my YouTube, but I was not like, I'm not trying to be a YouTuber. I wasn't trying to post videos, any of that stuff, right? So anyway, I am just trying to be obedient in this season and just see where that could take me, or where this could really go. And it's not really about that. It's just me sharing whatever God places on my heart. So today, y'all. So today I was reading Exodus. I'm still in the book of Exodus. I don't even know what led me to Exodus. I guess I am looking for God to do a mass exodus in my life. So I thought I would get into the book of Exodus. And this is only my second day reading it. Yesterday I posted a video of me sharing my thoughts on Exodus and what stood out to me the most. So today, as I was reading Exodus, in this part of Exodus, it was chapter 9. I think it was 9. Yeah. 9, 10, and 11 is what I read today. And what stood out to me the most, and I kind of went back and I went back in, and then I kind of highlighted what stood out to me the most and what I seen in the patterns that I saw that God was speaking, how he was speaking through Moses and Aaron, and the actions he required of them in order for him to move. That was the biggest thing. So it says two things I noticed in Exodus. When God performs signs and wonders and plagues, when he sends the plagues to the Egyptians, was God required human participation, faith, and willingness to obey before these wonders took place. It was not that just God spoke it and it happened. It required Aaron and Moses to participate, because several times in the scripture, the Lord either tells Aaron or Moses to stretch out your hand to the sky, and hail will begin to come from the sky. Throw down your staff, and it will become a snake. Throw up the dust, so that these boils will come on them. That, I will send this storm, and this storm will produce boils in the skin of the animals. So that was the first thing I got, is that, and then I wrote down here, is that the Lord told either Aaron or Moses to stretch out their hand, or throw down or throw up an object, so that he might put his super on our natural ability, causing a supernatural wonder. So most of the times when God is using us, or when we're looking for signs, wonders, or miracles in our life, God requires us to be a willing participant. He just does not just rain down from the sky. He does not come down from his throne seat and performs the miracle. He requires our participation. We have to be willing vessels and participants. It doesn't mean that we have to do it in our own strength. It just means that we have to be willing and able and participate when God wants to show up in our lives. The second thing is, what stood out to me was how Pharaoh, he could have easily just let the people go before any destruction happened. And I'm sure this has been pointed out many times, but this is just what stood out to me, is that Pharaoh could have literally just let the Israelites go without problem. No boils. He wouldn't have lost his animals. He wouldn't have lost anything. But because he was so prideful and because he's the ruler, I'm thinking to myself, so what did I put down? I'm thinking that Pharaoh was just so prideful because he is the ruler. He is a ruler of all these people. He has so many possessions underneath him. He has people, he has sorcerers, and he has magicians, and he has all of these people who are under him who look up to him. So I'm pretty sure, as a man who is ruling a nation or ruling over a people, he does not want to look like he's weak. He's like, I'm in control. I'm in control of this whole situation. So no, I'm not letting your people go. You guys, I own you guys. So why would I even listen to you guys and let you guys go? So that was the first thing I got. And Pharaoh thought he owned the people. And he just assumed that he could continue to rule over them. But then I wrote down, each time he was commanded to let the Lord's people go, he agreed, but with stipulations. So the more severe the plagues came, the looser his grip got on the people. But he was like, I'm going to let you, Moses and Aaron, I'm going to let your people go, but you can only take the men. If y'all want to go pray to your God, only take the men, leave the children and the women behind, and all of your animals. Like, he was just like, I'm not falling for that trap. Y'all not about to pretty much run game on me and take all of your possessions and all of your children and women and never come back and serve under me. Like, he wanted to continue to hold on to control. And the more he tried to play the game against God and tried to say he agreed, but only partially. He agreed some of the way, but not all of the way. And then I was just asking, or I was just thinking to myself, like, God, okay, you could have literally just killed this man, like, and all of his minions and armies, and the Israelites could have been free. But what God was revealing to me is that he was after Pharaoh's heart in all of this. The plagues, with all the plagues and the taking of possession, because I remember it being, hearing obedience is better than sacrifice so many times and so many years before. And I used to question, like, what is the relevance of the sacrifice part? Okay, I get that you have to be obedient. I understand that. But when it was like obedience is better than sacrifice, I never quite understood that. And the sacrifice portion is all the things you lose trying to control the situation. So he's holding on to one thing, and his pride and his status, he's holding on so tightly to that. Then in holding on to that, he lost everything. His land looked like a desolate place by the time God was finished. He lost his son, he lost his cattle, he lost his whole land was eaten up. It was held on. It was covered in frogs, flies, whatever you could think of. It was literally nothing. He was left with nothing. But in that, God was still trying to reach his heart. He was trying to reach him because, like I said, God could have wiped them all out. But what good would that have been for God to just wipe the Egyptians out if he didn't first gain their heart, or if he did not even first, but if he not only gained their heart, because that's truly what God is after. He's not after your possessions. He's not after the things that we think he is. And he doesn't operate in the way that we think he should. Like, God thinks much higher. He has in the grand scheme of things, God's schemes are God's plans are much higher than we could ever imagine. Because I'm like, God, why even take this whole route? Like, why take this long? It always seems like the long way. Like, God, okay, you are God and God alone. You literally could have just like let these people go. But like I was saying yesterday, God has to operate in principles, and he has to have a willing heart to be able to move in anyone's life. And Pharaoh was not willing. He was not willing. So, and to show Pharaoh who he was, to show him that I am God, and I am sovereign, I won't touch you, But everything around you will begin to die because you're holding on to something that I'm asking you to release. You to release. Pharaoh probably could have kept everything. He could have kept all of his land. He could have remained in control of the situation to an extent if he would have just released what God asked him to release. But instead, he just found himself holding on even tighter. Like, no, okay. Or even like, okay, God, I'm going to slide you this, but I'm not going to give you the whole thing. And I found myself in certain seasons doing the same thing. Like, God, okay, I'm going to start reading my Bible more. I'm going to start doing this, but I can't give you this part that you're asking for. I'll continue to serve you. I'll pay my tithes. I'll worship you, but I'm not going to give you all of it. And that's in part what Pharaoh was doing. He was like, I'll give you your servants. I'll give you some of your servants. But Moses was saying, he's like, I need everyone. I need everyone to worship the Lord. I need everyone a part of this sacrifice or this celebration to God. Because I don't know. Moses even said to Pharaoh, I don't know what God is going to use or what he's going to require me to use in the sacrifice. Because he's like, you're not taking your animals. How about you take all your wife, your kids, but leave your animals? And that's what Moses was saying to him, that I need everything. God requires all of me, not some of me. God, when you go to God, he requires every part of you, not some of you, not just you when you feel good, not just you when you're in church, not just you, not just a small part of you. He requires all of you to be a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable. All of you. And so it's just reminded me that when we go to God, or when God is requiring something of you, he doesn't want just, like I just said, he doesn't just want just like a part of you. He's like, I need every part of you, because what he has in store is far, far better. And that's why they say obedience is better than sacrifice. I go back to that because I didn't get that. I'm like, God, I can't give that up. And in all honesty, it's not easy. It wasn't easy for Pharaoh to give into that. It wasn't easy for him to just look as if he's bowing down to a God that he didn't even believe in. He had all these other gods. Where was his sun God when it went completely dark in Egypt? God sent a darkness that no one can see anything enough to do anything. And it's just like, where is your sun God? Where is the God to take away these plagues? Where are these gods that you worship? When it's all said and done, when destruction comes, where is the God that you're serving, or the idols that you're serving, when you're holding on to the things that God is asking you to let go of? These things that you're holding on can't even save you. Like, that's the thing. These things that you're holding on out of fear can't even save you. And I was listening to a sermon earlier this morning, and he has said that there are two types of pain that is temporary and pain that is continual. So it might hurt to release what God is asking you to release. It might be painful. It really might be painful to do that. But look at the continual pain that Pharaoh had to endure before he even released what he could have just gave up so easily. Easily is like, I'm not going to say easily, but what he could have just gave up. But because of the lack of obedience to what God continued to say, let my people go. Time and time again. It took 10 to 11 times he said it. But it took for him to lose everything, for him to get these people up out of here. And you don't want it to be that way, when you can choose between a temporary pain and a continual pain. Both are painful, but one causes a continuation. Like, it's just like pain after pain after pain. Like, what is it going to take for God to get through to you? Will it take continual plagues in your life for him to get your attention, for him to get your heart? Or will it take a oh, I'm not going to say a one-time sacrifice, because God continues to have us to sacrifice things so that they don't become idols in our lives. He doesn't want us to be so attached to something that it becomes an idol. And it just brought me back to something that I remember this girl was saying when she was sharing her testimony. It said as she was sharing, she was just asking God, just in a synopsis, is the way that I'm living pleasing to you? Like, I need to hear this directly from you. Do I need to give up what I'm doing? And in part, do I need to give up what I'm doing in order to serve you, or in order for you to be pleased with my life? And when God gave her her answer, her words were, "It broke my heart, but it saved my soul." And some things that God requires of us, things, places, people, jobs, cars, money, whatever it is, it might break your heart. No, for sure it will break your heart, because I've gone through that, where it literally broke my heart when God asked me to release this thing. Whoa, Jesus. It literally broke my heart. It broke me down. It really broke me down. But ultimately, like she said, it saved my soul, because I went running back to him. I didn't go running back to the thing that he asked me to release. I didn't go, one, because I couldn't, because it was just like, that's something that he had to remove. He had to remove it in order for him to get to my heart, because some of the things that we're holding on to is blocking our hearts, and blocking God from being able to even enter into our hearts, enter into our lives. We're so callous to him, not to the thing, because we love that thing so much, but we're so callous to him that thing is blocking him. He can't even get through to you, because you're just like, Lord, I can't let this thing go. I cannot let this thing go. And I found myself there, and I couldn't let it go. And it broke me down. It broke me down. And it's still not a continual battle, because I gave it, once I fully surrendered it to God, there was a peace that finally came. It wasn't overnight. No, it wasn't overnight. But the peace began to creep its way in. The love of God began to creep its way in. The joy of God began to creep its way in, because each and every day I just had to I remember, my God, thank you for reminding me of this. I remember sitting in my bed, and it would be days that I was crying, because I know that I had to give this thing up. And it would be days. It felt like months, but it was probably weeks. I don't know. But every day I would cry, and I had no words to even say to God. I'm just like, Lord, and nothing would come out. But I just remember not even speaking words out loud. I would just lay there, almost in a fetal position, and I would just say, Jesus, come lay with me, or Jesus, come sit with me. And that's all I could say. Or, Jesus, please just hold me. And that's literally, oh my God, I can start crying right now. That's all I would say, because I just needed his comfort. I needed his comfort in what he was trying to do, and what he was trying to show me, and all that he was doing, and removing and pruning. And that was hard. It was so hard, because I'm just like, man, God, I didn't want to let that thing go. I don't want to let it go. But it wasn't even, the thing was no longer serving me. It was only causing me pain. And that's the thing that you're holding on to is only causing you continual pain. When God is just like, give it here, give it to me. It might be painful to release the control, but once you get that thing up, it's just like, man, I didn't even need to control that thing from the jump. He showed Pharaoh in the end that nothing you think you control, because in the beginning, he had his sorcerers, his magicians imitating the things of God. Like I shared yesterday, he had the sorcerers imitating the things of God. Like they, God rained down frogs. They were like, okay, let me add to the problem. I'm gonna rain down frogs too. But we think and in doing that, that's what I was gonna say. In doing that, Pharaoh thought he was in control. He was like, your God can do that, so can my sorcerers. Like, what are you proving to me by doing this, God? What are you proving to me? And even when he filled the Nile with blood, because Pharaoh used that he thought that was the source of life, and there were gods that he worshipped in that same Nile, but God made everything in that Nile die and turned it blood red. And he just does that to show you that you really don't control what you think you do in this life. There's nothing in this life that you can control. The only thing that you can control is how you respond to it. And that's why you have to allow him in. You have to allow him in, because in doing so, he shows you that he's in control. But you can only control your worship. You can control your response. And you can control the thoughts that you allow in, so that you can respond properly when things come up. But man, let that control thing go. If God is asking you to release something, if he's asking you to release something, it's for a reason. It's for a purpose. It's something that he's trying to do in you. It's not even always about, because I was just sitting here earlier like, Lord, where are you? Where are you? Because my situation is looking a little sketchy right now. And sometimes we can get it twisted and serve God for what he can do with his hand, instead of going after the heart of God. Truly going after his heart, because those are where the true treasures are. It's not what he can do, but it's about how he can show you how he loves you. Because all these possessions, let's just say they're not gonna go with you. They're not going nowhere. All these things that you are asking God of, or stressing over, or trying to be in control of, they cannot even go with you when you leave. When you leave this earth, they can't even go with you. So get that thing up. Give that thing up. Just like today, it's a daily sacrifice. It's an hourly sacrifice. Let's be real, because some days you can pick it back up. Like I said, I was just sitting here worrying. Worrying is almost like it's like wanting control too, because you're like, your mind starts playing out these different scenarios and situations, and you begin to take back control. It is minute by minute. Let's just be honest. It can be. But ultimately, I just wanted to say, just give that thing up. Don't be like Pharaoh. Don't be like me sometimes. Don't be like you, trying to control everything and thinking that we got it, because we don't. We really don't have it. God does. And sometimes he shows you that he got it in ways you like, well, dang, you ain't even have to do all that for real. You really didn't have to do all of that. But yes, he did, because it got your attention, because it got my attention. And that's what he does. He does things to get your attention, because he's like, hey, I'm a good father. I'm a good father. I'm the God. I'm in control. Let me handle this. If you just give it to me, I will show you that I got it. If you just give it to me. But like I said, we want to hold on to control so bad. And God's like, just give it up. Like, I got it. Give it to God, because he's got it. I hope I just stopped that video, because we don't have to find out. Nope.